Greetings, Aquarius. Thank you for joining me, for your reading this week leading up to the beautiful new moon in Pisces on the 13th. It does feel like a dreamy time, time to really go with the flow, just to let yourself go with that. It's quite difficult, but I think the sort of atmosphere, the currents around us at the moment really are encouraging this. So yeah, it feels pretty nice to me. So today we are doing a shortened Celtic cross, looking at central point, the basis of what's going on right now, what's just behind you, where you're at, and moving forward. And we'll get some clarification. And then we'll pull a journey map card and a pixie and fairy card from Brian Froud's Oracle deck. So let's see, Aquarius. For all you Aquarians out there, let's get a few cards and we'll talk about the central point first. Just another couple of cards, please, for the lovely Aquarius. Hopefully, Aquarius, this, if you are tuning in, this finds you well. Now, central point, let's see, they're face down. Wow, we get, woohoo, Whaaat. We get the fire and ice prince, the Prince of Wands, impulsive, passionate, very sexual actually. For some reason, this has come up, not overly that much this week, but when it has, it feels kind of pretty sexy, Aquarius. So I just, we see this on and off kind of prince, because to me, he, she, whatever, gender's not important. Fire and ice. There's a kind of, well, I get the word actualization going on here, and I do suspect it is a matter of timing, because crossing this fiery, impulsive, sexy, actualizing prince, we get art, the beautiful card of what is called often temperance, this timing card, divine timing indeed. So we're dealing with divine timing, not Saturnian time at the moment, Aquarians, it would seem. Now, the basis of which is still a bit of residue, I feel, from past realizations, is what I'm getting. We have the Seven of Swords, the backdoor man card, our personal histories of assessing how we go about getting what we want and what we need, and assessing actually the difference between those two things. The basis, we're looking at our consistency, I do feel, or our consistency at this current time, Aquarius, our integrity, is just what I'm getting with this. Interesting. Let's keep going. What is behind you? What's behind you currently, Aquarius? Don't get me wrong, this is looking pretty nice. It's looking pretty good. What's behind you, dear Aquarius? Excuse me. Wow, what's behind you? So we get two cards coming out. We get a combination here. Now we'll go with the first this one came out face up, the other one face down. This is the Six of Swords, a mind card, a card of balance, a card of harmony, 6 being that position of beauty and truth on the tree of life within that position. Traditionally moving to calmer waters. We're moving across waters. We're going with the flow. But we're certainly moving somewhere a lot calmer, somewhere far more conducive to balance, to well-being. This is in your recent past. This is behind you, but don't get too caught up with timing here as we go through this reading. Sometimes the timelines are pretty fluid. So this is a wonderful card. The thing about this card that I love is when Lady Frida Harris designed these cards in the 1930s, and we see that kind of deco element to them. In this particular card, the Six of Swords, there is what appears to be like a floor plan map in the background, and she describes it as drawing every possible position of defense in fencing, in the art of fencing, parrying forward, you know, fencing in the white outfits with the saber fencing things. Every possible defensive position. I find that interesting. With that, we get in the Thoth deck, this is the devil. But of course, don't be alarmed. In the Thoth deck, the emphasis in its highest polarity, this card, is about enjoying life in all its richness, in every material way, emotionally, you know, psychically, but certainly an emphasis in the material enjoyment, that this is a gift. This is a gift in all its bounty, in all its, also in all its trial, in fact, because that is how we learn. The lower polarity, of course, we see these, which are in fact thought forms. In this card, we see the sort of tormented figures trapped in these thought form bubbles. So I guess that's the other aspect of this card. It would appear that I do see this as you know, freely being able to enjoy the fruits of effort. I mean, of and well-intentioned effort earned. And this movement into a calmer place, whether that's more balanced, whether it's a place of having more understanding of your own motivations and how they are expressed out into the material world. So it's kind of interesting, but let's keep going, Aquarius. Lovely water bearers. I get this thing of, you know, I always think of Aquarians being completely adept at being aware of group mind as well as individual mind. And I do get a sense that this is about other people understanding this aspect of the Aquarian nature. I do feel that, you know. Anyway, at this current time, for lovely Aquarius, please, just one card. Just one card, thank you. Wow. So, you know, this process, this timing and understanding of historically what you or how you trip yourself up. There's a translation. I just think you're not only How do I explain this? It's as if you are, and this is all at the same time, it's as if you're deciphering a transcript, which is your own personal transcript about yourself, right? Which has all sorts of different aspects to it, historical, current, what you see ahead. You're also translating, if this makes at all any sense to anyone out there, you're also translating these transcripts that you have with others. So you're translating your relationship contracts. This is what it feels like at this current time. And there is a timing involved in it. But what it is, what it's giving, there is a timing in it. Where we see yourself currently, Aquarius, as the Emperor, it puts you in a really strong position while you're in this mode. It's not been, I don't know where this is coming from, but it's not been challenged, right? So you're not being, there's nothing there that is pushing you, challenging you, anything like that. You're the only one. You're the one, when you're deciphering these transcripts of your own mind, clearly trying to understand aspects, right? I'm not sure if I'm explaining this very well. Within that, you challenge yourself. Now, this is the 7, right? This is the assessment. Also, shame, humiliation. It's got great history in this card, and it can be a habit in terms of behaviours, in terms of mindsets. You're the only one that's challenging that at the moment, as is the way that ideally it is that. You're also, as I said, repeating myself, you're translating transcripts, your contracts with others. At this point, you're in a really strong position as the Emperor. But what I would suggest, it's just the feeling that I get here, is that you don't want to, don't get me wrong, the Emperor can be very benevolent, the ultimate father figure, in many ways the consort to the Empress, but it can also be a card of, power corrupting. This is just what I'm getting here. So we can sit in the Emperor, if we're very clear and honest within ourselves, we can sit in that benevolent zone. I just get a sense that there are some things that, obviously, we've all been there in it or understood this. There are, or we do, there are things that we don't have control over. We can't control everything. I'm just getting this from these cards today, which is sort of interesting. We will go through and clarify, of course, and get a journey map card and a lovely pixie and fairy at the end for a little bit of lightness. If things get a little bit too Aquarius. Right, moving forward. It's looking pretty amazing though. This fire and ice character coming out from the starting block with divine timing, fermentation, alchemical process. As I said, this is a sort of actualization. This is understanding some ways of, some elements of operating, I think, of operating for you as we operate out in the world Anyway, moving forward, dear Aquarius. Moving forward after this Emperor was sitting in a pretty powerful position with the Emperor. Just one card. Just one card, please, for Aquarius. Suddenly they've become a little bit stubborn. Wow, moving forward. Okay, and we will come and clarify, as I said. Moving forward, we get the moon. What I get from this is, in a kind of essential way, this is moon. This is moon. What do you call it? Magic. I mean, this is moon stuff. This is looking at those aspects which possibly you haven't chosen to look at before. It's interesting, you know, every reading is different and I just get what I get from the cards. But this is very much, you're doing maybe an overview. You're seeing how you can move forward. But it also feels like while you're doing this sort of, I won't go on about it, we'll go and clarify. While you're doing this translation of your transcripts personally, your contract is with yourself primarily. Contract, it is. It's a life contract. While you're doing this, something else is happening that you're not necessarily aware of at this time. This is what I'm getting. As is when you're deciphering those contracts that you have with others at the same time, that you're doing that with yourself. There is also something else going on there that there's something else processing it at the same time that you haven't seen yet, is what I'm getting, that you haven't seen yet. Now this is amazing stuff because we're sort of operating, it's like being able to operate. Oh, look, I just get the image of someone in a room managing to kind of operate all these different pieces of machinery in different areas, like even like 3 miles down the road. I don't know. Anyway, let's go through Aquarius. It looks like something pretty amazing's going on here in terms of a kind of internal alchemy process of sorts. So let's see, what am I interested in here? I think as natural, what is this? We're just going into the center where we're looking at art, the temperance card, the divine timing card. What are we looking at here? Can temperance reveal this process, this fermentation that's going on? Wow. Look, I get 3 cards and all at once. All at once here. So I'll hold these up. First and foremost, looking at temperance, divine timing, turning lead into gold, the alchemy of it comes in many forms, not just chemical forms. Looking at divine timing, temperance, right? And this is a timing thing. To peel the layer back, we're looking here. We get the 7 of Cups, a card of assessment, again, like the 7 of Swords. Sword, mind, cup, heart, emotions, if you look at it like that. we see so many options, so many. And talking about this, so many ideas. Talking about this new moon in Pisces, the ability to fantasize, to dream big, to imagine. We see so many things in here. We're figuring out in some way what, not that we necessarily need to, but we're figuring out what's viable and what isn't, I think. Because once we do that, my favourite card, it's a wonderful card, the Tower. Once we do that, it's kind of like clearing out. It's like a spring clean. And that allows us to, this is really just some strange imagery happening with this, but it is like a spring clean. But it's almost like you've had to pare it down to really going, as is the case that often happens, that you have to go inward to see what your own relationship is with yourself, primarily, because that's going to be reflected out in the relationships that you have with others, because it's just the way it works. Anyway, so looking at temperance, this divine timing, so we see you assessing, and the sevens are Aquarius, all about desire, obviously, as well. Desire can, we need to look at this. It can be quite tormenting. In what's past, we see here, this is the torment, really, of like perpetual desire in its lowest polarity. I am talking here, but that is that. And then you move to, you sort of see that for yourself, move to calmer water with that 6. Look, there's something about realizing something here that's going to clear out the closet. It's going to clear out the dark corners. This is what I'm hearing. And there's a lot of those in the moon. There's a lot. But it does feel like that. So we clear out the dark corners by figuring out, our dreams, our imagination, wonderful things, but we must be aware that the illusion exists in this card. So we get down to the nitty-gritty, as it were, and then who comes along? The Knight of Swords. He's on a crusade. Let's not bring up the crusades, but it is just a word. He is on a crusade of truth, of his own personal truth, or her own personal truth. It almost feels like, someone with a really large lasso throws it out, and as it goes out, it expands and catches all of these different things in it. And then this person, as they pull it in, realizes, well, I can't contain all of this. I need to kind of spring clean it, get rid of some. I can't, I wanted to spread my net wide, my lasso wide, but I realized that it brought back these things which possibly aren't that great for me at this point in time. This is what I'm getting from this. It's quite interesting. So there we were looking at temperance, divine timing, and this is about timing. It does take time to assess as things move on. There's 2 parallel things happening in this reading, is what I get. And I'm not sure about the specifics of that, but let's just see. We get what we get from the cards. So my lovely cards here. For lovely Aquarius, can we have a look at what this Emperor is about? We'll have a look at the moon. Then we will grab a journey map deck and a Brian Frood Pixie and Fairy. So there's some major work going on here internally, and that translation of that into the outside world around you, friends, family, groups, work. Let's see, the Emperor, please, for lovely Aquarius. Let me just see what the Emperor's speaking of here. Right, yes, exactly. As I said before, with the Emperor, it is a position of great power, but we don't necessarily want to stay in this for too long. This is a really pertinent thing. We get the Chariot, right? We get the Chariot, very fast moving, making things happen as he moves. But in order to actually move, and these two horses, animals, are not harnessed. He's not actually forcing them. They represent aspects of his own mind, the unconscious and the conscious mind. So, my dear Aquarians, he has understood this. He's understanding this. And as I said, the Emperor, really, we don't want to get too reliant on, well, the aspects of the Emperor that aren't that great is not being able to relinquish control. So we see the Chariot come out. We know that that's just not the case. This is about movement, and it's about making things happen as we move. The Chariot is moving the world on his path, is what I'm getting here. Amazing. It's pretty amazing. Aquarius, let's have a wee look at the moon here. Let's have a wee look at the moon. Yeah, look, it couldn't be clearer to me. This is a, well, it's not a simple process, but it's something I believe that is going on. It is about you understanding aspects again of the Seven of Swords, the dark pulls in our what is, but possibly not for long, unconscious mind. You're becoming more conscious of these dark pulls, and some clarification for the moon card. Again, we get the 7. Now, you know, I just get the term you can fool some of the people some of the time. Why am I getting that? But you can't fool all of the people all of the time. Is that the same? And you certainly can't fool yourself ultimately, right? So this is what I'm getting. This is really interesting. It's a little bit tricky-dicky, you know, but there's definitely an understanding of some aspects that it's starting to make sense to you, dear Aquarian. I hope this could be quite specific. Anyway, let's get a journey map. There's certainly an understanding of aspects of yourself and the way that you want to move forward with it. You know, what you want for the future as you see it and hear. Well, you know, we assess what it is that we want, but ultimately, you know, it's like internal truth, isn't it? And only an individual knows what their, you know, get through all the illusions, delusions, fantasy, blah, blah, even though I was talking about going with your fantasies. I think it's a good thing for a wee while, you know. but not as a life plan. Oh, where did that come from? But not as a constant. Yeah, that's just what I'm getting. Speaking of which, beautiful Aquarius. We get the imaging card, which is all about our energetics, you know, our thought forms, what we are imagining. Speaking of the imagination, we see, and you know, this small child whose cells are turning over at just an incredible rate. There's a universe exploding within this child. New stars, pooh, pooh, pooh. It's pretty interesting. And here we see these sort of energetics threads coming out, really bolstering this egg, which is going to grow. It's got everything around it necessary. It's in the right place. Hang on a minute, beautiful Aquarian. It's in the right place at the right time. In the right context. With the right elements to allow it to grow, to protect it. It's a beautiful card, and it just really sums up the power of imaginings, that everything starts with a thought, with a seed. And that, you know, there is an element of assessment in this, because we don't really want to create something that, well, I mean, you never know outcomes, do you? And certainly try and put expectations aside. You know, the best intentions are the best intentions, but we do assess what we're putting our energy into. This is just what I'm getting from this reading. If we can get a pixie and fairy for lovely Aquarians out there today. Just one card, please. Pixie and fairies. Just one card. Wow, we get 3. So I'm going to show you as they came out. Again, there is this swordage. A lot of swords in this reading. A lot of mind stuff going on for you, Aquarius. First card up, we get He of the Fiery Sword. This is the sword of truth, just as the Knight of Swords goes on his quest. This is all lit up. Isn't it amazing? He of the Fiery Sword. Clearing clearing some kind of detritus from the cupboards, from the dark corners. Second card, Guardian at the Gate. Now, you've been ready for this for quite some time. The hardest part is squeezing through that little tight bit, you know. That's the hardest part. But the only way to do it is to go with the flow. Go with the flow. This beautiful new moon. I'm not making light of this. It's a really intense reading. Is to go with the flow here. You're on that. You're on that path of your own personal truth. We can talk of personal truth very, very flippantly, you know, but to really get down to the bare bones of it, it requires a lot of self-work, in fact. And you're on that path. Just getting through that tight little opening there to pop out again, the other side, we don't know that. We don't know necessarily what's on the other side. But it's good. It's great. It's fantastic. It's a really good feeling, this reading, but really sort of, wow, getting right down to the bolts and nuts and bolts. Then we have Faff the Footer, just a directive, just a little reminder, this intermittent earthing, grounding up, you know, it's not consistent. Just a little directive to keep momentum consistent at this time, it seems, even though there's timing and there's timing involved, and there's processing. There's some processing some challenging things for you, lovely Aquarius. So I think that's a beautiful reading, but you're on the path, your path. You're on your path. It's truly pretty damn good. So look, thank you for joining me today. Tune in if you so desire to. The time and tides for the new moon reading will be up later today, and then I'll have the chakra doing the will center and the third eye this week together, which seems appropriate coming into this new moon in Gemini. So thanks, Aquarian, Asses, and all. Have a good day. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me. Bye.